A moment that scientists have been anticipating for years finally arrived this week. An iceberg weighing over 1 trillion tons broke away from an ice shelf in Antarctica. The rift happened near the Weddell Sea. The chunk is now freely roaming the ocean around western Antarctica. So is this the result of climate change? Stephanie Skandaris takes a look.
It's one of the largest icebergs ever recorded, and it's now floating in the Weddell Sea. Its sheer size is hard for most to comprehend, but not Adam Booth. He spent 5 weeks on the Larsen Sea, the ice shelf from which the iceberg broke.
It really gives you a sense of your own smallness. On a nice sunny day, you can see for miles and the ice shelf appears endless.
Booth is part of Project Midas, an Antarctic research group based in the UK that has taken the lead on studying Larsen Sea. The team combined field data with advanced satellite imagery to study the growing crack in the ice. It first appeared in 2010, but recently started to widen rapidly. Scientists knew the break was imminent.
It was not unexpected. The crack that was forming for this iceberg to break off has been monitored for the last at least half year, so it was more of a waiting game among the science community of when it would happen.
This iceberg, likely to be called A68, is double the volume of Lake Erie. It's less than half the height of the CN Tower, but in terms of square kilometers, it's bigger than Prince Edward Island. But scientists say an iceberg breaking off, or calving, is normal.
This is not, to the best of our knowledge, anything to do with climate change.
Martin O'Leary is also part of Project Midas. He says he does see the effects of climate change in the area, but this iceberg isn't necessarily a direct result of it.
This is a natural process. Ice shelves calve icebergs all the time.
Because the ice shelf was already floating, experts say it won't change sea levels.
If we were to drink a glass of gin and tonic and you'd have ice cubes in there, now when the ice cubes melt, it doesn't actually change the volume of water that you have within your glass.
Still, the iceberg has left Larsen Sea 12% smaller than it was, changing the landscape forever. Scientists will keep close watch to see if it starts to disintegrate, which they say could take decades. They'll also monitor the iceberg. Because of the iceberg's size, it's hard to know what will happen to it. Scientists say it might break into fragments. Some could drift into warmer waters. Some could stay in the area for decades to come. Stephanie Skandaris, CBC News, Toronto.
While scientists monitoring this split say it's likely not a result of climate change, the amount of sea ice surrounding Antarctica has reached a record low. Here's a look at what's been happening over nearly 30 years. Larsen A and Larsen B broke down, likely a result of climate change. Scientists could see them melting. Not as much melting has been seen on Larsen C, and it continues to grow on its own. But scientists say it's potentially less stable after the crack.
To invest in things like high-tech manufacturing, clean energy, and the infrastructure that creates good new jobs.
No, that isn't former U.S. President Obama repeating the same speech exactly the same way 4 times. That's artificial intelligence at work, manipulating facial features from different videos to sync with the audio from one speech. While the joint effort between Google, Intel, Samsung, and the University of Washington is still a work in progress, researchers say videos using this technology are coming soon. Here's a flea market find. A seller in Romania thought he was unloading an old typewriter for 100 euros. Turns out it's something else. That's an Enigma cipher machine used by the Nazis in the Second World War to encode and decode messages. The flea market buyer, a cryptography professor, turned around and sold it at auction this week for 45,000 euros.